Hello, good evening, and you're welcome to today's edition of Sports Ultras. My name is Thierry, and thank you very much for joining me. And we are back. We are back to have fun on every major sports result or topic. There's a World Athletics Championships that's continuing, and there's Ghana that didn't continue. There is also Mohamed Kudus and his move to West Ham United. We'll look at what his profile would be in England and also look at the Ghana Football Association elections as well. And then we'll do transfers, of course. It's still ongoing, even though the league season is back. And then we'll have a look at, the Ghana clubs at the CAF competitions. I'm talking about Dreams FC and Mediama Sporting Club. And then the guys will also go through the predictor. So it's loaded, but we'll do it, brief. So let's get right into it. And we'll start off with the Dreams FC and Mediama Sporting Club, that is. But before we do that, let me just introduce, the guys in the studio. Oreku Ampofo is here with me. Oreku, good evening.
Good evening, Thierry.
Something tells me we may have to talk about Media General's team at the corporate games, the start times.
Oh, not so bad. Maybe slightly under the expectations, but I think overall the team did well. Progressed on the group stage, topped the group, and got a very favourable draw in the semi-final, only to be knocked out on a penalty shootout after the game ended 1-1. So it was hard luck on our part, but I think overall the performance from the team was good and it was encouraging, and hopefully next year we're able to go a couple of steps further.
Interesting there. Yeah. Your highlights from the weekend?
Highlights from the weekend. I think today's game, the just ended game, Newcastle, Liverpool.
Crazy.
I saw the beginning, the first half, and I expected Newcastle to see out the game. It didn't happen that way. Virgil van Dijk was shown a red card, but I think that whenever the conversation of who the best goalkeeper is in the world comes around, I only hope that everybody remembers Alisson Becker. He's a really, really good goalkeeper, and today he saved Liverpool's blushes a lot, and I think that he deserves all the plaudits. So he practically saved, and then Darwin Núñez came off the bench to score those goals for Liverpool to get all 3 points. But I mean, if I don't know if there are Newcastle fans around, but if you're a Newcastle fan, you should be worried because one win in 3 just before Newcastle actually get into the Champions League is worrying for them, and so they should just think about that first.
Yeah, sure. Aniela, I have a feeling your highlights wouldn't be us now.
No, unfortunately not.
Unfortunately for us, yes.
I have to speak undertone because my enemies nearly got me yesterday.
What makes you think they didn't?
And my enemy is sitting right beside me.
Oh.
But it's fine because Nicolas Jackson can score.
What's your highlights of the weekend?
I would say West Ham. West Ham Brighton. I really enjoyed that game. I think West Ham are just showing why we should look out for them this season.
Even without Kudus?
Even without Kudus. So, meanwhile, without Declan Rice too, but it's fine. We have him and we drew 2-2. But that's fine.
Yeah.
At the Emirates, that's okay.
Yeah.
I think Mediama also deserve a shout. For what they did.
Talk about Mediama. We are starting with them.
Yeah.
We are starting with them because Mediama played against Remo Stars.
Yeah.
And won after an aggregate draw.
Yeah.
And so penalty shootout, and then they get to win by 3-2. Your thoughts on that?
I think it has become very characteristic now of Ghanaian sides. The Black Stars went to Nigeria.
Yeah.
They qualified.
Yeah.
The under-20 team went to Nigeria. They qualified.
But the Super Falcons came here and qualified.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is that when we went to Nigeria, they beat us. The margin was bigger, and so over here, even though we did enough to win, we just could not qualify.
Yeah.
But I think that when you look at just how football has gone over the last 2 years, every time a Ghanaian side go to Nigeria, they sort of come out with a win, and that's what Mediama did. I didn't have any hope in them going there and bringing out the results, but they've been able to grind it out. I mean, especially after they sent 9 players away to Malta, you were thinking that maybe they just wouldn't have the squad depth or the quality to do something like that. But they've been able to show that they're still a good side. They can compete on the African continent. They've beaten Remo Stars by 3-2 on penalties, and I think it's a huge performance. Maybe we are not going to talk about it as much as we have to, but I hope that everybody listening actually talks about it as much as we should.
Okay.
Because the thing is, as Ghanaians, we've always complained that our football is dwindling, which is facts. But the thing is, what Mediama has done takes us a step closer to wherever we want to get to. And so let's just hope that they keep the momentum going. Moses Parker has said that he is very confident that his side can go far this season. I think that after that performance against Remo Stars, I give them maybe a 50-60% chance to go through to the next stage as well, and maybe make the group stages. That's where I want to see Mediama play, and hopefully they are able to do that.
I don't remember. I think the last time a Ghanaian team played there was Brecum Chelsea.
Yeah,
and that was sometime 2012.
Yeah, it was.
Since then, Kotoko
a long time ago.
Kotoko and Ash Gold and a few other clubs have taken turns and failed miserably.
Yeah.
At the same stage, Kotoko play one game and they're out.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't take anything away from Mediama and what they've done.
They've been good.
They've been good, and I like that.
It's been really impressive theory. With the first leg, I think that going into a second leg with at least a lead, no matter how slender, how small it may seem, it was a good thing for them. But like getting into the game and then Remo Stars getting the equalizer at least on aggregates, then it gets really tough and nerve-wracking going in there. But I think that they held their own, and like I was saying, we need to give a lot of props to them for being able to emerge victorious on penalties, because getting the game through to that point and still sailing through, it's something that's really commendable. So I'd say I'm happy for Mediama.
We all are. Oreku.
Can I play the devil's advocate? Because
no, you cannot.
I don't see why you are praising a team that missed 2 penalties in a shootout. The only one because the other team was worse. You won't have that privilege in Africa.
Oreku, but
you missed 2 penalties out of 5.
Oreku, but that's penalty shootouts for Christ's sake.
No, this was
make it no mind. Oreku saved the missed penalty. Oreku saved the missed penalty.
I missed penalty ST.
Yeah, so I'm surprised.
There's nothing wrong with me.
You're the last person to criticize penalty shootouts right
now. There's no problem. That's my job. I'll keep on.
But you know what's shocking? You know what's shocking about your comment? Because I mean, it's not like they lost miserably, or they won some clutch. I mean, it was VAR penalty shootout. They missed 2 penalties, but how many times are they looking to play penalties or a penalty shootout? Throughout the campaign. I think the most important thing is they won. You support Chelsea. Chelsea won the first Champions League by penalty shootout.
Yes, we did. But missing 2 out of 5 is just too poor. Especially, look, it is not acceptable.
You're not forgiving.
It is not acceptable. Look, I'm telling you this because on any normal day, statistically, missing 1 is enough to knock you out. And you had the luxury of mixing 2. The only reason why they are qualified is because Remo Stars were worse.
So that's what you just said. They were this luxury. They had the luxury of missing 2 and still qualifying.
Yeah, but
so they are okay.
No, it's like you qualifying via a team. You play poorly, and then it's the qualifiers to the actual tournament proper. This is even the first round. It's not even the final round.
Yeah.
Where you win, you play very poorly. The team scores 2 own goals in the last 2 minutes, and you're celebrating. We shouldn't be celebrating mediocrity. They missed 2 penalties. The key thing is that the key thing for me, I'm very much concerned about process, because you see, the funny thing is that when Heart of Folk beat Wydad in Accra, I said the same thing. That they didn't take their chances. They didn't look solid defensively, and if they progress, they will be found out. They didn't even progress. They traveled to Morocco, and we saw what happened to them. I'm not speaking. Look, this is not a cup football match that they are in, round of 16, quarterfinal that they've just scraped through. This is the qualifiers to the tournament proper. In the first place, you shouldn't even be struggling at this stage to get to penalties. And when you get there, you're also missing 2. This is first round theory.
That's
first round.
That's a stronger point. But to start straight up from the penalty shootout.
Missing 2 years.
All I can say to Oreku is that when an Atizigi conversation comes and I'm this brutal about it, you shouldn't.
You should keep quiet. You should keep
because that's really brutal. I mean, this is a stage that a lot of Ghanaian clubs have gotten to and failed at. People are not celebrating Mediama simply for qualifying. They are celebrating Mediama because it's been a while we saw Ghanaian teams, win in CAF competitions. Regardless the manner of the win. Regardless the manner of the win. And that is the issue. But anyway, so another club that maybe didn't get penalty time, maybe that would appease Orioco is Dreams FC.
Make you know mind Orioco.
So Dreams
FC
played
3 games.
Dreams FC played against a local
Milo FC.
Bro, I wanted to describe it. Can you please allow me?
Why?
Oh, good. Anyway, he said Milo, so that's it. So your morning beverage was what Dreams FC played against, and they eventually won by 3-2. That's an aggregate, but it was a 2-1 comeback victory at Accra Sports Stadium after the 1-1 draw, in Guinea. Oreku, maybe this makes you happy.
Yeah, I mean, Dreams FC, first time being here. Unlike Mediama, who have experience at this stage, Dreams FC is their first time here.
No, but Terry, you need to ask Oreku why, because it's not the first time Oreku is doing this.
Mediama.
In the Ghana Premier League, he did the same thing when we're talking about
Mediama won the league
every day,
because everyone else
every day, Mediama, you dey bash Mediama, why?
Yeah, so maybe we
He's
should
like
ask.
that. We should ask
Do
him.
you
Ask him.
Has anybody wronged you from Takwa?
Not yet. But I mean, I'm just being hard on Mediama because I know the levels where they've reached and where they can reach. I think they should be one of getting into the zone of the pioneering clubs for Ghana football when it comes to continental stuff. But hopefully things improve for them. But for Dreams FC, as I was saying, it's first time playing in Africa. A lot of nerves. Not having the luxury of playing in your home fans. Once again, an empty stadium at the Accra Sports Stadium. So they had to do it the hard way. And it was a bit tough for them because they went down in the first half and they were just some few minutes away from elimination, and they managed to score 2 late goals to find a way to qualify. For me, that is really resilient, and I will praise Dreams FC because it's the first time they're here. To be able to go past the first round alone is a testament to how far the club have come. And I mean, let's see how far they can go from here into the competition. But it's very impressive for them to be able to come back, especially when things seem to have not been going their way today. So congratulations to Dreams FC. I think they showed resilience, and theirs is a more impressive feat than Mediama. Just to highlight that again.
Yeah, do you think it's really impressive or more impressive than Mediama?
I think that is on the same level for me. I mean, yeah. In competitions like this, you beat what's in front of you, and Mediama have done that, and so they move to the next stage. Dreams have also done that, which is good for us. So let them go to the next stage. Let's see what they can do. But I mean, if they've done this, they just deserve to be praised. I think Dreams have done well, and the thing about this competition is that I actually want to see more from Dreams because when we listen to Aminu Shadow, who is closely linked to Dreams FC, he mentioned how much of preparation that the team has done just to get into the CAF Confederations Cup. He sounded very confident, and hopefully the confidence turns out to become results so that we can see where Dreams FC can get to. But I think that these two Ghanaian teams in there should work hard to improve Ghana's coefficient so that maybe we get a lot more. That
takes
teams.
A while though, considering how many years we've fallen off.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll take a while to come.
And so they should try and get to the group stages. If they get there next season, when someone also gets there, the numbers goes up. So hopefully,
that's a long shot to think that 2 consecutive seasons, Ghanaian clubs will get into the money zone of cup competitions. I think that would be definitely a big thing to celebrate. But
Terry, before you go on, West Ham have just tweeted that GH Boy touchdown in the East End.
Oh, so, GH Boy, kudos. But yeah, Aniela, you wanted to make a point before?
I wanted to make a point. I think that going into this game, when it's like a 1-1 draw, it could literally go any way. But like Oreku was saying, Dreams did show a lot of resilience. But for me, I think that I was quite impressed with Ejenim Boateng because an 85th minute penalty that could well be, the decider of things. He stepped up to the plate and did convert it. So even though Oreku does not want to credit Mediama for at least getting through on penalties, I think that Ejenim did really well to step up to the plate on that one. So I'm also looking forward to seeing what they have in store for us. This game is just as impressive to me as a Mediama one. And like you were saying, at least on the continental front, I'd like to see the Ghanaian clubs do a lot more. It's feasible, it's possible.
It definitely is feasible, it is possible, and we'll wait to see what will happen in the next round of the CAF competitions that we find ourselves in. It's Dreams FC and Mediama Sporting Club making Ghana proud. And remember, you are listening to
Sports Ultras.
It is Sports Ultras right here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Thea Winyan. I'm here with Yao Sulabi, Oreku Ampofo, and Aniela Alote. Before we go into the studios, actually, Yao and Aniela were taking a lot of fans on the compound. A lot of people crowding them, taking pictures. You know, they're superstars.
I'm actually a huge fan of Yao. Every time I take an Uber, they'll just look at me and be like, Aniela, oh, and your brother, Yao, I'm so happy, Yao, I'm so happy. You know, one time I pick him, and I just, it's always exciting.
You sometimes talk and act like a season ticket holder.
No, honestly.
Like your support, you are such a loyal girl.
But I'm a huge fan of Yao Fusulabi, honestly. Every time I'm like, Mikro, I was a fan in
proper superstar, and today you're on stage with him,
I tell my story from like 2017, as a teenager, meeting Yao Fusulabi,
I hear you're the girls' prefect at the Brig Girls anyway.
I prefer not to speak.
But let me just send this message to you. Jata no Landio Yalande, the best online betting platform offering you a variety of games ranging from sports, casino, virtuals, and your favorite aviator is finally here. Take your chance on our daily, weekly, and monthly jackpots with up to 11 million Ghana cedis to be won. You could play our free-to-play games and win up to 50,000 Ghana cedis every day. And yes, it's free to play. Visit pridebet.com.gh to make your first deposit and enjoy 100% up to 500 Ghana cedis welcome offer. Bra, Yendiagro wo Pride Bet. Pride Bet, together we play. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. It is Pride Bet. Take note. Now we move on to our second topic, and it's another favorite. It's the GFA elections. And if you're expecting it to happen on September 27th, for now, you can just make a slight note, by that, notes that you put in your calendar. It is now a tentative election that is to happen. It is not casting stone because, as you know, Ghana football court. Omoko court. Injunction. So King Faisal Football Club, owned by Alhaji Karim Grusa, has filed an injunction aimed at preventing the Ghana Football Association from proceeding with its scheduled elections on September 27th. The elections set to take place in Tamale are meant to select new leaders, to help the association with the incumbent Keto Kreku and former Vice President George Friye competing for the presidential position. In a legal filing submitted to the Accra High Court, King Faisal, through their legal counsel, argues that according to the GFA statutes, a legitimate Congress cannot convene to elect the GFA president until the new members of representatives of the Executive Council have been duly elected. King Faisal Football Club is appealing to the court to prohibit the GFA from holding the impending elections until the necessary elections for representatives from the National League clubs, Regional Football Association, and other constituent bodies have been properly carried out. Additionally, King Faisal seeks a court declaration that initiating the nomination process for the GFA president's election before conducting elections for the Executive Council representatives is both incorrect and unlawful. 11 football administrators, including James Kwesi Randy Abe, Tony Obin, Eloy Amande, Fred Echampon, Alhaji Akambi, are vying for 5 Premier League positions on the GFA Executive Council. Others in contention are Kingsley Osebonsu, Nana Odrusafo, Onyina Senso, Edmond Aka, and Raphael Jamra. And so these are some of the names who should have been contesting on September 27, but if we go by the injunction, it is not happening, the elections, I mean. So let me just bring my guys in the studio into the conversation. Before I share what I probably think about this, maybe I should ask Yao and everybody else what you think about the injunction once again. Another injunction.
I think it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, because how then can we move forward if there are so many roadblocks? And I think this is one of those roadblocks. I just hope that they are able to settle it amicably, and then the elections come off. Because if it doesn't come off this year, then when does it come off? It means it takes us to what, November?
Then Kurtz has 5 years in office.
Exactly, and then it gets to maybe January. It can't be possible. There's AFCON. February, no. So the next available window could be in March. Or April, and that's quite a long term.
Yeah.
And so I just hope that they are able to sort it out pretty fast, and then the FA has the elections, and we know the executive council members, we know the new president, if there's going to be a new one, or the old one stays on as president, so that we can all just as journalists we have a better idea of what questions to ask when we meet these executive council members and stuff like that. So hopefully this is done pretty fast, but it doesn't look good now. It's exactly a month to the elections. Actually 1 month today. And so it doesn't look like it could work. I mean, maybe Aniela can explain the legal terms to us of how long an injunction can take.
Anyway, Aniela, what is interlocutory? I mean, I keep hearing it every time there is.
You think I'll mind?
I mean, Aniela is supposed to be the legal brain of the team.
Me?
Aniela is a certified lawyer.
What are you talking about? I'm an Arsenal fan. Every time I sit here, I sit in my capacity as an Arsenal fan.
But can you just walk us? I mean, we're not discussing law, but just educate us. What is an injunction?
You're just basically putting a hold on things. That's
So if I hear you're getting married,
I can put injunction.
I can put an injunction on it.
No, but that's
what you're saying. He said it's basically putting a hold, which means that
that's what you're saying.
Why are you people this way? Moving on.
If you are getting married, can we put an injunction on an engagement?
Can an injunction be put on a marriage?
Yeah.
Or on a kojimo?
Yeah, kojimo.
No, tell us, because we need to know. Because maybe Ajua got pregnant through Kofi. And then she didn't tell Kofi.
Sounds like an Oreku problem.
And then takes the
now that it does sound like an Oreku.
and then takes the baby to Kwesi. Kwesi is doing a naming ceremony. Kofi finds out. Kofi says, "Why are you doing a naming ceremony of a child that's not yours?"
So instead of a fight,
can Kofi go to the courts and say and put an injunction on that?
When it comes to family law issues, there's actually like a process.
Okay.
For that,
so now you're talking.
There is a process for
this.
Those
I wanted to know.
Even that's why they publish bans and things before people get married, before things are done. You actually have your period in which to object or do whatever it is.
Like the way churches give 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah, but I think you should really direct this as Oreku. The way he's looking at his phone, just trying to get a few things out of the way.
You think there's a Kwesi in his life, eh?
I think more on Amma,
Anyway, so in the injunction.
Yeah, I think Alhaji Gusa spends a lot of time in court. He always knows that's what to do to spark up a bit of a controversy. But again, due process has to be followed when it comes to those things. And the law is
on our screens.
Honestly, hardest guy. Actually, when I even started with law a few times, I saw Alhaji Gusa in court.
Oh, really?
The High Court.
Oh, really?
That's all this guy.
Oh, per month.
He spends a lot of time there.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, it's really important that we get some of these things out of the way. But again, let the courts, let due process just follow through, and then we see the way forward from there.
What's surprising though, guys, is Alhaji Gusa has been welcomed by the Ghana Football Association, for the best part of the last 3 years.
Yep.
He's actually been traveling with them almost every major assignment. It was almost as if, according to some quarters, they were trying to buy his silence. But he seems unbendable.
Yeah.
He seems like the guy you just can't buy.
Yeah,
he will talk when he has to. Oreku, I'll bring you into the conversation. And it's simply because another injunction. Is it legitimate, considering... Yes, I mean, it makes sense that the law says you have the reps who then will help decide who is the boss. But when you have the boss first, then it becomes the boss controlling who sits beside him. And that is one of the reasons why the decisions at the highest level in Ghana football has always been suspect, because in the previous administration, we used to have the president deciding who sits by him in the executive council. He had that much power. So it was turned around that RFAs and all these executive councils should be voted for before the presidential election itself. Ken Faisal or Alhaji Gusa says that is the way forward. That is supposed to be the thing. If nobody's going to speak up, I will speak up. And so we're not going to allow for any manipulation, because he feels that if Kurt wins, then Kurt manipulates the sub-elections. What do you make of all of this in 2 minutes?
It's just a summary of Ghana football and the state we find ourselves in. Unfortunately, it's upset that a whole association are not following their rules and regulations, and it's also upset that there's always one man in opposition, and that's Alhaji Grusa. In the past 2-3 years, he's been to either court or CAS about 3-4 times. Even during the Congress when I went in Kumasi, when everyone agreed that Ashanti Gold should be expelled due to the involvement of their CEOs who were not supposed to be involved with football. Only Alhaji Grusa came on there, and once again he was almost like playing the devil's advocate. And I mean, I don't know what his interest is, but he always seems to thrive in these moments of controversy. And I mean, I don't know what the way forward is, but if you know you have such a person around, what you want to do is that you want to make sure that you do the right things. And I think it's a bit immature from the Ghana Football Association not to follow their own rules. Maybe it's a case of ignorance, and if that's the case, then it once again highlights a lack of seriousness from our leaders. So for me, it's rather unfortunate, but all of this probably plays into the hands of Kurt Okraku, because what injunctions usually do is that we've seen it being applied several times to our leagues where we didn't know what we're doing with the leagues. It just throws in doubt and uncertainty, and that is just an advantage to the sitting president, because it's his seat. It's up to the challenging force to get a clear sense of what's going to happen, what he needs to do and when. But for Kurt, I think he'll be very okay with this. The longer this goes on, the better it is for him. For someone like George Efrio, who's running alongside, he would want to know when, how this affects the nomination results, how this would affect the election, at what point is he supposed to start talking to delegates, because when it comes to convincing delegates, you don't want to start too early, you don't want to start too late. And so it's George that probably this goes against the most. But what you want to also see is that there is organization in how we run our things, because the thing is, this Congress was supposed to also serve as the Congress that leads us into the new season. As you'll be aware, every time there's a new Ghana Premier League season or domestic season, there's a Congress that precedes it. So if due to the injunction this doesn't happen and we don't have Congress, then what happens next? Does it mean that would affect the start date of the league or not? And so there are lots of question marks as to what the ripple effect of this could be. But then again, it's definitely not good for the fate of Ghana football. And that's why you need an autonomous Premier League board, really, because you cannot be waiting for the entire football to converge before the league starts. And some of these things will be raised maybe later going forward, because then if you have an autonomous PLB, what it means is, they would run things by themselves and wouldn't have to rely on GFA congresses, to start or to function. Because this really, there should be tentative start dates already for the GP, which there is. There should be, the power giving the board to handle the running of the league or the season, regardless if Congress happens or not, because Congress definitely has different facets to it. And so if one of the facets would affect the Premier League, which is the biggest product for the GFA, then there's a problem. Anyway, we'll get into some other things. And you remember, you're still listening to Sports Ultras right here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Thierry Nyan. Once again, Jatanwa Landiu Yalande, the best online betting platform, offering you a variety of games ranging from sports, casino, virtuals, and your favorite aviator is finally here. Take your chance on our daily, weekly, and monthly jackpots with up to 11 million Ghana cedis to be won. You can also play our free-to-play games and win up to 50,000 Ghana cedis every day. And yes, it's free to play. Visit pridebet.com.gh to make your first deposit and enjoy 100% up to 500 Ghana cedis welcome offer. India grow a bet. Pride Bet. Pride Bet. Together we play. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
3Sports. Sports Ultras. Sports Ultras.
Now we move on straight to some others, and we'll be discussing the World Athletics Championships. And so, can I have it, Frank? We'll be discussing the World Athletics Championships. And so, that is Team Ghana, who have been unimpressive or absent, when it comes to the athletics or the World Athletics Championships currently happening in Budapest, Hungary. Hopes of winning a medal. The World Athletics Championships have come to a crashing end after the 4x100 meter relay team withdrew from the competition. The relay team were forced to withdraw from Thursday's heat after injuries to James Datsey and Joseph Paul Amoah, of course, key figures in that particular team, after the removal, or better still, the resignation of Benjamin Azamati from the competition, even before it started. And so it was, one thing after the other. With two key runners out, Ghana was left with only 3 sprinters, which is not enough to compete in the 4x100 meter race. The GAA, that's the Ghana Athletics Association, confirmed the withdrawal of the team in a statement on Wednesday evening. And I take a bit of it, and the quote is, Ghana Athletics deeply regrets to announce the withdrawal of Ghana's men's 4x100 meter relay team from the WAC Budapest 2023. Unfortunately, 2 of the 5 athletes on the relay, James Datsey and Joseph Paul Amoah, sustained injuries during the 200 meter heats on August 23rd that require urgent medical care. And so that is it. Oreku, I'll start with you. Yeah.
It's a bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit.
Continue.
Yeah. It's a bit laughable because it's just been comical for me. If you look at the sequence of events that has happened with Ghana Athletics, just a few months back, we saw the mistake that the leaders made with their team that couldn't participate with the 4x100 meter relay final due to registration default, or it was down to negligence of the team leads. And then we saw a couple of our athletes not being able to go to Budapest this time around due to visa issues. And now we're hearing stories concerning Deborah Akwa's injury, where she was promised some form of care, didn't receive it. James Datsey, we're also hearing, was carrying an injury. And it's a bit sad because I look back some 3 years ago, and the wealth of talents that we had in athletics, it almost felt like there was a breath of fresh air. If you looked at the athletes who were coming through, the young ones breaking records, starting something fresh for themselves, it felt like for the first time in a very long time, Ghana Athletics was heading into the right direction. For me, I think personally, we failed these guys. Having the benefits of hindsight, I think we could have done better for some of these guys. The likes of Benjamin Azamati, Joseph Paul Amoah, even Deborah Akwa, and all these guys. I think with the necessary support, what we are used to is that whenever there's a meet or an event, then there's all the attention and all the support and resources. But what happens to them after these major competitions like the Commonwealth and World Athletics Games? We barely hear of them. We don't even see our athletes trying to head into the Diamond League. I think it's just Azamati who attempted once, but I know it takes a lot of money to do that, and so you cannot fault the athletes themselves. But what are we doing to enable them to be able to make sure that the first time they are meeting such stiff competition wouldn't be at the big stage like the World Athletics Championships? I'm sure if these athletes were getting the exposure, getting access to the right medical care and all the good resources, they would have probably been in better shape. I think that we've not done enough for them, and in the end, what's going to happen is that we'll have really talented guys grow old, and we will never see them reach their true potential, which is quite unfortunate, because even if you look at the recent university games that are going all across the country, the talent that we have here is crazy. And you wonder that if we're able to manufacture all of these guys, why is it that when they're discovered and they get to the big stage, it's almost as if everyone forgets them? And I think those are some of the, topics that or issues that the GAA may have to look at. Taking care of our athletes and ensuring that they are competing at the highest level and have access to everything that they do need. Because I think that they are a priority. They're the biggest resource that you have. And so I hope that going forward, we would have a controversy-free Olympic Games next year. But hopefully we even get athletes to qualify in the first place.
That's what I was about to ask.
Because it's not been
very
good.
Confident, yeah.
It's not been good. It's not been good so far.
Aniela, before you.
Definitely. Terry, honestly, hearing all of these things is just a bit unsettling, because even just following some of these athletes on the Ghanaian front, you get a sense of just how much participation actually means to them, because when we get to that level, we are really not able to do much by means of qualifications to the ultimate and then, picking up gold or whatever it is in the final. So I think that for Azamati, that will come as a huge blow. For Amwa, it's come as a huge blow as well, and even for Dadzi too. So it's sad to see some of the athletes bow out in this manner when there's literally all to compete for here. Every time Yao goes to watch some of the athletics competitions on the senior high school level and brings back the results, and he's always talking about how much great talent we have there. Sometimes it's just disheartening to see that we're not converting that into mainstream, and like Oreku was saying himself right now, just following up on that glory and making sure that we're also breeding some really good talent. I want to be shouting like how the USA are shouting. I want to be going all about like how Jamaica is going crazy for some of their athletes, and they're really good names. I know that we equally have that amount of talent, but it's just really sad that on the world stage, especially for something that is the 100 meters, the 4x100 meters, whatever it is, something that we can't actively participate in, we've been forced to, bow out in this manner. It's just sad to see, but hopefully we can do something about it.
Hopefully, yeah. You cover these things a lot more.
Yeah.
What does this mean to Ghana athletics?
I just want to start with, so Oreku was talking about Diamond League. The first thing is that Diamond Leagues are invitational. And it's invitational because it's like we're having a party and you ask for someone like Kidi to come in, and you don't ask for maybe Patapa to come.
Yeah.
No, that's just how it is. And so what?
Perfect example.
I feel like
I don't think that's.
I feel like what we can do for our athletes is to help them in many ways, because you have to improve your time to a certain level and have a certain level of branding to your name before you are called to run at the Diamond League. And so that's the first thing, and it's the reason why someone like the Kenyan guy Ferdinando Manyala has been to 5-6 Diamond Leagues since he sprang up on the scene a few years ago. I always say that our best athlete in this country at the moment is Benjamin Azamati. We failed Benjamin at the Commonwealth Games when we made that blunder and forced him not to run in that 4x100 final that he had legitimately qualified for. We failed him then. We failed him again after the Commonwealth Games, heading into this World Championships, because he's been injured. He's been trying to find a way to get himself fit for the World Championships. It hasn't worked. Deborah Akwa is the only female athlete who won a medal for us. The first Ghanaian medal at the Commonwealth Games since 2000. The first woman Ghanaian medal since 2005. The first medal in long jump in a really long time. Joseph Polamwa won Ghana's first ever medal on the tracks at the Commonwealth Games since the 70s. And we treat these people like this. I feel like it's very unfair to them. And it is, for me...
How was this crop treated?
I think they were just not given the proper support. You see, the thing is that if you're going to raise athletes, you don't just wait for a month to the championships to try to give them that kind of support. You give them the support all year round and make sure that they are in a good place. Then they take you into the World Championships and try to do something for their country. You don't just start picking them up 1 month to the thing and then just putting them out there. I see a lot of people criticize these guys, but I just want to say that maybe you should watch where they are from and how far they've gone in their careers before you make these pronouncements, because it hasn't been easy for any of them. The talent is there. James Dadzie ran a sub 20 in 200 meters this year. He broke the national record that Joseph Polamwa had, which was 20.08. He broke that record. If you look at the winners of the top three of the 200 meters, they all run sub 20s. What shows that James cannot do that? Or what shows that Azamati cannot do any of the things that the guys who ran the 100 meters did? Maybe he wouldn't have won, but getting into the final alone would have been good enough to raise his hopes. It's impressively huge. Now, if Azamati was at this World Championships, Ghana would have progressed into the final of that 4x100 relay. It is unfortunate that James got injured, and then also Joseph got injured, and now we just had 3 members of the team waiting for the 4x100, and it couldn't happen. They had to withdraw. But I think that the Athletics Association need to do things better from today, because these blunders cannot keep happening. And you see, the thing is that I keep saying that this crop is our golden generation of athletes. If they phase out in the next 2-3 years and we don't win anything, it is going to take us another 10 years to try to build athletes from scratch, like we've done with these guys. Because look at how long it took. Look at how long Leo Miles Mills' record took before Azamati broke it. It took over 18 years before he broke it. Joseph Polamwa's record, it took so long before he broke that record, and now James has broken it. So the fact that these guys are even breaking records that people they are running with at this moment are setting, it shows you that the talent is there. I just want to talk a little bit also about the women on the tracks. The GAA needs to find a way to get female athletes for this country. In the last 10 years, the female athletes were the only ones holding the mantle for Ghana. There was Jama Champong, Fling Souso Japong, and there was Janet Tamponsa as well. They were the only athletes, the female athletes, who were doing well for Ghana. Now they are not there anymore because many of them are old, and they can't do the excessive running anymore. But there's no succession plan. These days, our women don't qualify for anything. The last time Hor Halutie actually was the first Ghanaian in about 20 years to qualify for a final of a World Athletics Championship. And she got to the final, she finished last. But what was the progression plan from there? We did nothing to her. Now Hor Halutie is we don't even know where she is. And so I feel like we need to start building these guys up again. Let's just make sure that from now up until the Olympic Games, not even the Olympic Games, because we have African Games in Accra in March. So we need to start looking at how we are going to build ourselves up again and try to win something at the African Games. And then hopefully we take that into the Olympics with a bit of confidence, because it is not looking good for Ghana. We have a really good crop of athletes. Let's support them and make sure that they win.
Gary has raised a very important point, especially in terms of in recent years, it's the likes of Azamati, it's Polamwa that we keep hearing. And I don't remember hearing like a consistent group of people my age, like just consistently year after year, is these same names that we keep mentioning. They're household names. Even some of my friends in other countries are like, oh, Polamwa, Joseph Paul. Like everybody wants to know what's going on with them. So like I was saying, if we don't try and get them to also stake their claim, not just on the national front, but on the international scene as well, when are we going to get another cup?
No, it's going to take a while, because another thing I wanted to say was the women record, the women 100 meter record for Ghana. Vida Enim has that record. Vida Enim did that record in, I think, 2006 or 2005. And since then, no woman has been able to break that record. It will take us possibly about 5 or 6 more years before another woman gets in and tries to break that record. And so if these boys are doing this at this point, let's support them. Let's make sure that we are doing everything we can to make sure that these guys succeed at the sports, because they are the ones who have been able to make us fall in love with athletics again. What Azamati did at the Olympics the last time got everybody close to their TV sets to watch athletics is the first time I've seen that in a very long time. And so let's just hope that things get better for athletics. But the Athletics Association needs to do more work.
There's more work to be done, at the Ghana Athletics Association, and for now, no Ghana team in Budapest, and of course no medal for our country. It's non-stop conversation, non-stop action here on Sports Ultras on 3FM 92.7. We delving straight into conversations around Mo Kudus. Mohamed Kudus, just a few days ago, secured his first hat-trick for Ajax. Went home with the match ball and left the Ajax fans looking and craving for more in the coming years. Because from today, he's going to be training and playing at West Ham United. The deal was confirmed as announced by Alpha Sulabi just a few minutes ago. Over £40 million deal. And we love to see it because this man is now going to be in the full glare of, the lovers of the English Premier League and, of course, considered the best league. There's huge attention there. And we are hoping that if he's able to replicate anything close to 80% of what he did at Ajax, then we know that Ghana's name will continuously be on the map.
Yeah. And I'm very excited about this transfer. I think that many people are excited as I am, but I think that I'm just too ecstatic about it. I can't wait for Kudus to start going again. The thing about this is that it's been a long time since any Ghanaian has made a move that has excited all of us like this. I think the last time it happened was Michael Essien.
Yeah.
I mean, in between, as Asamoah came to Sunderland, there was a lot of buzz about it, which was really great. Andre to Swansea to West Ham was good as well.
Babaraman to Chelsea
was huge.
But for 2 weeks.
Was huge.
Jordan.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I just want to
it was huge.
Jordan.
Jordan to where?
I don't think Jordan's good at that
Palace
kind
to
of
Swansea.
pass,
But he's assisting. There's some assisting there. Let's count it. Let's count the assists.
but I think that Kudus' transfer to West Ham is huge. I always said in this transfer that this transfer window that if Kudus doesn't move, this transfer window is going to be hard. And I think that West Ham is a place where he'll be comfortable.
Yeah.
David Moyes is a coach who would give you the chance, provided you play with the heart. And if there's anything Kudus plays with, it is heart.
It is heart.
When we played at the World Cup against Uruguay and nothing was working for Ghana, he was the only player on that pitch who wanted things to tick for his country. And even in a couple of games that I've seen him, he's always been that most instrumental figure trying to get things to work. So it is a huge transfer. West Ham is a team with a lot of history. They've just won the Conference League. They're looking good. Now they are top of the table in England. They can only get better from here in the Europa League as well. And so Kudus has a huge task ahead of him. But like I keep saying, the guy is ready for whatever football throws at him. It's almost as if he's just prepared himself enough for whatever is coming. And I just hope that he's able to replicate that kind of form. I mean, maybe later on Oreku will take us to a few of the a few of the things. But I think that will be huge. Also, another thing is that West Ham have Edson Alvarez, who
I was coming to that because
who Kudus played with at Ajax, and so the integration wouldn't be that hard.
But then I look at the team that started yesterday against Brighton, and there was Antonio, up top.
Yeah,
there were 4 men behind him. On the right was Bowen.
Yeah.
On the left was Paqueta.
Yeah.
And then in the middle were Prowse and then Alvarez.
Yeah.
Who does he take out of this team? Considering West Ham have started really well.
So the thing about these things is that usually I don't talk about who someone is going to take out of a team. Okay. I always say that when you get your chance, take it, and it's the only way you stay on a team. And given also that West Ham have a number of matches to play, especially in the Europa League, they will do a lot of rotation.
Exactly, they'll find a pairing that works. And
Kudus would have to be that figure who would change things for them. It will be huge that if he gets his opportunity, he takes it. Yeah. But I think that when you look in that West Ham team, I think that he takes out maybe Ward Prowse, because
that would be tough.
No, it will be tough. It will be tough, but he could take out Ward Prowse. Yeah. The thing also is that I think Jarrod Bowen has so much credit in the bank at West Ham
for him
that it will
almost
be
untouchable.
It will be almost impossible to take Jarrod Bowen out of the team. For Mikel Antonio, you don't take Mikel Antonio.
You can't take him out. That's where your goal scoring is.
Exactly.
He's the most clinical in the squad.
So you can't take him out. Kudus will have to make sure that he takes his chance. The thing is, definitely one of them will get injured. I mean, the thing is, definitely one of them will get injured.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I honestly think that, as Ghanaian, I would always support a Ghanaian player. I mean, Kudus is better than anybody on that side. I mean, the thing is, maybe Paqueta, I think I like Paqueta a bit, but I think
Gajala likes him too.
Yeah, no, I think I like Paqueta a bit, but Kudus is a better player than Bowen. He's a better player than what.
It's definitely a tough call, and for David Okra Moyes, this is the kind of conundrum you want as a coach.
Definitely, Thierry. But I'm also really, really, really excited. I think that even just football, the sport in itself aside, Mohamed Kudus is somebody that a lot of Ghanaians have been looking forward
for
to.
The culture,
a player like him. It's for the culture. And it's even interesting for me to see on the international scene, everybody's calling him Ghanaian superstar. He's getting our name out there as well. But again, going
it's
back
interesting
to
see Fabrizio tweet, and there's a Ghana flag by it every time.
Every time. And
that is it.
We're putting our name on there as well. And it's very important. Like I was saying about the World Cup, I've forgotten where Anderson and I went to. We went to some field somewhere. The kids were just shouting, Kudus, 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 Kudus. The big song was everywhere.
And it just tells you who he's become.
In
the last 2 years.
It's making
So
you
Champions
believe
League
again.
last year, we must also talk about why he's so sought after.
Yeah.
Champions League last year, he hit, or plus the Eredivisie, he hit double figures.
Exactly.
And then at the World Cup as well, he didn't fail at all. He was one of Ghana's best players.
He didn't fail.
In the 3 games.
He actually set a record for himself. At the World Cup.
Yeah. So I think the lenses are on him, rightly so.
Yeah.
He deserves everything coming at him.
Kudus Kudus' day.
And for now, we just hope that he comes into the Premier League
So-
and doesn't become a Barbara man, but becomes a Michael Essien.
No, the thing is that he's definitely not going to become a Barbara man.
Okay.
I'm so certain about that.
Yeah.
You see,
But what's wrong with that?
no, I'm saying that today I was looking at Aston Villa and looking at the quality that Aston Villa have.
Okay.
Aston Villa have the luxury of taking out Douglas Luiz and bringing on Yuri Telemans,
Wow.
which is impressive quality.
I wonder why no one went for Telemans anyway.
So if West Ham also have that, take out Paqueta and bring on Kudus, or take out Kudus and bring on Paqueta, I think it's
It's a
enough
perfect win,
quality.
and you are less likely to get injuries that will completely change the order of your game. Some of us, we have not seen Jesus for how long? But every day he's injured. Every day your man hurts. Every day your man hurts.
You are talking about Jesus.
Every day your man
How about
hurts.
Rhys James? So Reku is getting ready to bring us the information on, Mo Kudus and of course his deal to West Ham United. But I won't go into the numbers of Kudus because I have a feeling Reku will be going there. Why this has become such a big move, not just for him, but of course for all Ghanaians and for Ghana football as well. That is one of the, not future star anymore, but one of the big stars that we have in the national setup, alongside the likes of Kamaldeen Sulemana and Joseph Pinto and a few of the other guys, Thomas Tepate, the IU brothers who are continuously doing great stuff. Mohamed Kudus has been the shining light for some months now, and he sealed a deal to West Ham United. There's a breakdown by Orieku Ampofo that we are bringing you very shortly. So let's go straight to Orieku Ampofo. Orieku, what do you have for us?
Well, Thierry, so it's just I'm just trying to get into Kudus' head, and that's what this whole presentation is about. Just to
FM,
try and understand why he chose West Ham, and then provide some more perspective on what went on. I remember my thoughts don't represent that of Mohamed Kudus. It's just more of conjecture. And so let's head straight into it, where the main reason why we're here today is to answer the question, is West Ham the ideal destination for Mohamed Kudus? I'm sure when he was tearing the World Cup apart for the Black Stars a few months ago, a lot of people would have thought that the next big move for Kudus would be to a great club, a big club. No disrespect to West Ham, they're a fantastic club, but maybe a lot of people thought Kudus would move to a tier 1 club. I'm speaking of Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester United, Liverpool, etc. But this also happened. And so after a good World Cup and a very good season with Ajax, what we did witness was that at the early part of the transfer window, Chelsea and Arsenal expressed their interest in the Ghanaian. But there was no real follow-up, and the deal never really substantiated. And so the two of them sort of cooled off with their interest in Kudus. Now, what happened was that in July, Brighton agreed a fee with Ajax. Now, Kudus himself had made it clear that he wanted to leave the club, wasn't willing to extend his contract, which was ending in less than 2 years. And so what we did know was that Kudus was going to leave at the end of the transfer window. Now, Brighton came in, their fee was accepted, and it was widely reported that personal terms couldn't be agreed. And the most reported story was the fact that it was a release clause that Ajax, Kudus and his team were demanding, which I did a bit of research on, and I can confirm that that is completely false. The reason why Kudus did not move to Brighton was not because of a release clause. There was no talk of that, and it was other personal terms which they couldn't come into agreement with, and so it had nothing to do with a release clause. Unfortunately, the deal broke down. And then West Ham came along, tried a couple of times, and he ended up choosing West Ham. And so, there's been a lot of talk. If you look around social media, people saying, yeah, West Ham is not the best club for Kudus. He's probably bigger than them. But I think it's the ideal next step. Now, here's the strategy. If you're a player around 23, everyone dreams of playing Manchester United, the Liverpools, the big clubs. Kudus himself grew up supporting Barcelona. And so maybe it's one of the clubs that he may look at in future, or Manchester United, or the big clubs in England, or Bayern Munich, or these big European clubs. But if you don't get access to them right now, which is not happening, there is another route to these big clubs, and that's half a step. That's what I think Kudus has done with this West Ham move, because he enters a zone where he will still be seen, and these big clubs will still follow his development, and you still get the opportunity to get that move in the next couple of years or so. So now let's get into Kudus' head, and probably why he chose West Ham over Brighton. I think about 2 seasons ago, if you look at the data for wages, now listen to this important quote from Igalo. When he went to Saudi Arabia, he said at the end of the day, trophies and all of those things are not going to buy food in the supermarket. And so you cannot negate the fact that players look at what they will make from transfers. And so this is just a quick comparison of the average wages for players at West Ham and Brighton. Just to point our heads up, this data is from 2 seasons ago. And so the average salary at West Ham was close to twice as much as what people at Brighton, players at Brighton were earning. And so immediately you are able to get a sense of how well players are paid in West Ham and Brighton. Now, if you look at it comparatively, Brighton were the third lowest paying side in the Premier League 2 years ago. At the same time, West Ham were the ninth, and so they were in the top 10 in terms of paying their players well. Just to give you an idea, Mohamed Kudus's fee is about 40 million. That would make him the second most expensive West Ham signing in history. And so you can get an idea or clue as to how much Kudus would be making. He wouldn't make what the average would be making because he is close to being a record signing, and so he would earn a lot more. But even if he was earning the average, tell you what, it's twice what he was earning at Ajax. And so for a 23-year-old, that's good money, and that's definitely something that he would consider going forward. But even beyond the money, you're looking at a West Ham team who have a lot of heritage, a lot of history, a lot of prestige. They recently won the Conference League, making it 4 European trophies that they've won in their history. They've been in existence since the 1890s. And you look at performances, and what a lot of people forget is that there's that recency bias. West Ham had a bad season last time around, in and around the relegation spot for most parts, but they still ended up 14th. And the interesting thing is that if you look at their last 10 seasons since they gained promotion, 5 out of those 10 seasons, they finished in the top 7. They finished in the top half, my bad. And so 5 out of those 10 seasons, they finished in the top half. That's the top 10 of the league. And then on 3 occasions, they've actually finished in the top 7. And so this is a West Ham side where, if you're looking at extended data, they've performed really well in the Premier League. And they've had stints and opportunities to even get to Europe. This time around, they're in the Europa League because they won the Conference League. Now, how does Kudus slot into this West Ham team? To answer that, you need to understand how West Ham play. And if you wanted that in one match, a video to show how West Ham play, you just have to rewatch the game against Brighton over the weekend. That's David Moyes for you. It's prime counter-attacking football. When he had the whole league on strings, if you look back at somewhere around the 2021-2022 seasons, where David Moyes finished in the top 7, West Ham were really good in that season. They scored the most number of goals from counter-attacks. And so that was somewhere around 7 goals that they scored from counter-attacks that season. That was the most by any team. And so we can establish that West Ham under Moyes thrive in counter-attacking situations. And it's not surprising to see that Moyes is trying to revisit that formula, where this season they've already got 2 goals from the counter-attack, and that's the most by any team so far this season, although the sample size is really small this time around. But you look at someone like Kudus, where in the last 2 seasons where he's had some majority or a lot of his play time, you're looking at progressive carries. So that's basically, Kudus moving with the ball forward. And that's something that he does really well. Last season, he had 66, progressive carries, was ranked 5th in the Ajax team, and 37th in the whole league. And is one of his standout key areas because even this season, which just recently started, he ranks number 1 for Ajax and then 6th in the Eredivisie for progressive carries. And so in this system, I think it would bring the best out of him. Now, it's in a comparative case once again because Brighton play some really good football. Kudus probably would do well there, but I think that in Brighton, he would thrive within a unit. Whereas West Ham, it requires more of an individualistic effort. And that's the system which I think brings the best out of Kudus. If you're looking at his key strengths, he loves to, be on the half 10, has space to run into, and that's what brings out his strength, not necessarily, breaking down a low block like Brighton usually face and all that. So I think these statistics definitely back Kudus to thrive in David Moyes' system, looking at how they've played their football and what some of his strengths are. And also, one of the key things that are very, very essential in a counter-attacking system is your ability to be able to dribble past opponents, because that's the whole point. You're running at top speed, you're meeting defenders, and you have to be fast in how you think. And Kudus excels really well at that. In the last Eredivisie season, he had 91 take-ons. That was the most by any player. If you actually look at the top 7 leagues in Europe, only Messi and Vinicius had more take-ons than him. If you're looking at domestically, take-ons per game, he was 4.6. That's the most ever recorded in a season since Opta started taking data from 2010 in the Eredivisie League. And so he's very adept at going past his players. And that's something that David Moyes probably wants, that X factor, someone who can beat his man, because you're looking at a team, maybe without Paqueta and Bowen, they struggle in that aspect. So definitely I think Mohamed Kudus adds a lot of value to this team. If he didn't, West Ham won't take out 43 million of the money that they got from Rice and invest in him. The reason why Tim Stuyton, who is the technical director of the Hammers, traveled to Netherlands, and followed the team all the way to Bulgaria for the Europa League qualifiers, was because David Moyes wants Kudus, and now he has him. And I think the two of them are going to make a really good partnership where we may see the best come out of the Ghanaian. Now, remember, I said that West Ham is only half a step. The dream for Kudus is still that tier 1 club. And another key thing in this West Ham move is that by indication that the Hammers have allowed the sell-on clause for Ajax, it only gives us a hint that they are open to selling. And that stance on its own is probably better than what you'd have seen at Brighton, who are a bit more difficult to negotiate with. And so I'm sure all parties in the deal know that Kudus will not be spending the 5 years that he has signed at West Ham. He will probably be moving on to a bigger club soon. He still has the privilege of playing in London, playing at a very big stadium at the London Stadium. And he's still playing in the Premier League, which is the most watched league in the world. So I think this move ticks all the boxes, and the most important thing is that Kudus remains fit and continues to perform well. And once he does, I think West Ham would become the platform, like we've seen with Declan Rice, that Kudus uses to move on to the next level.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant stuff here. You are listening to 3Sports. Sports Ultras, and Doreo Kwampofo just finished his submission there.
This is 3Sports, the best sports team in the country. Get interactive with us across all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at 3SportsGH.
Absolutely impressive once again, and so real cool with take a seat. But yeah, you heard that analysis, and I think it's really detailed.
Yeah.
As much as it is revealing of who Kudus is, and just how potent he is. And for me, it is the progress after now.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what he's done at Ajax. We know what he can do at West Ham.
Yeah.
But unlike Brighton, who now have given a signal to incoming players that, if I mature and bigger teams want me, these guys will make it very difficult. Absolutely difficult. And I think that maybe it's the best path for him.
No, I mean, Thierry, the thing is that when there was the whole Brighton mix, I actually didn't want him to go to Brighton.
Oh, really?
And at all. I mean, people keep saying that, Brighton are on a good patch, but you see, it's different when you go to a club like West Ham, where, like Oreku said, a lot of history, a lot of, there's just this thing about being a West Ham player that you may not have anywhere else, unless you play for one of the bigger clubs like Chelsea, whatever. The West Ham is like the closest club to those guys that can make you feel like you're of a certain kind of importance. And so I think that he chose really well, and I just hope that he's able to. The thing is, I think Oreku made a very good point about if Kudus stays fit. The thing is,
is another thing.
The thing is, if he stays fit, he would give you that impressive performance. And I think you see the fact that every Ghanaian football fan has come together to enjoy this transfer should tell you that we all know what the boy can do, and that's the reason why we because I've seen on social media a lot of people just talking about how they are now West Ham fans because Kudus is there and stuff like that. I think that he's going to he just has to show one or two things to the West Ham faithful. And West Ham is also another club where the moment you show them a good time, they love you forever. The last time I was looking at a list of West Ham players who have been impressive since the Premier League started in 1992, and in the top 3 they had Carlos Tevez there.
Of course,
exactly.
Of course.
Yes, and they had Carlos Tevez, and Tevez played for how many? He played for just a season, and then they loaned him to Manchester United. So it just tells you that they are one of those clubs that when you make an impact, they remember, and so. Hopefully Kudus gives them that really good time.
We had a conversation in the office actually about the great people that have great English Premier League players that have come through West Ham United. Rio Ferdinand.
It is a very long list.
It's a very
long list.
It's actually
it's a very
it's
long
actually
list.
a club that either has developed or harnessed, great talents that we have come to know.
It is the reason why
clubs.
the whole Brighton thing didn't sit well with me because this is a proven club. West Ham are proven. The thing is, in the next 2 seasons, Brighton could be relegated. It is fact.
Of course.
If Roberto De Zerbi leaves, where's the future
if
for
Leicester
Brighton?
come relegated,
it's interesting. It's a very good point Yao brings out because look, we saw Brighton under Chris Hughton.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not as if something has magically changed about the structure of the club. They've just been really good with their last 2 coaching appointments. That's Potter and then De Zerbi.
Yeah.
What happens when they get managerial appointments wrong this time? Because even Moyes is not the most optimal manager that West Ham could bring. But even under Moyes, they're still finishing top 6, top 7, winning trophies.
92.7.
And I think over the long run, that's what maybe West Ham has over Brighton. Whereas Brighton have understood that they are primarily a selling club and would go for unproven talent or unknown talent outside the Europe landscape and specifically maybe South America and give them the opportunity and sell them for a bigger fee. West Ham have gone beyond that phase. They are no longer adopting that model. And that's why you're seeing a lot of ambition with their transfer market going for players like Kudus. They went for Skamaka, it didn't go well. They ditched him. They're looking for a striker. They're looking for a new right back. They've inquired about Tariq Lamptey. They've bought Kudus. They've bought Prowse. They've bought Alvarez. They've bought Mavrompos. They're trying to put together proven players or good level players who can compete immediately. So you can see the different approaches that the 2 clubs have. And for me, I would rather stick to the person going for the now. The truth is the Brighton model is not sustainable. Today it may be going well, but we've seen the likes of Southampton, a lot of clubs,
Swansea, Southampton, all of them.
Are we not just overly criticizing Brighton?
No, you see, the thing is that I don't think
it's their moment. That one, no doubt.
The thing is that Thierry, when Swansea came up, it was the same conversation. Swansea are really good.
I remember Swansea with Michu and all that.
Swansea are really good. Swansea are going to stay in the league for God knows how long. Even Leicester have been relegated. So you can't actually hold it down for Brighton and say that they are going to stay in the league in the next 3-4 years. You can't say that. The thing about West Ham also is that in the last 10 years West Ham have also been relegated. But ever since
they are more sure to come back.
Thank you. And ever since they came back, they've been a totally different side. And so I feel like the move to West Ham is good enough for Kudus. With the kind of football Moyes plays, that is what Kudus wants. And so he thrives in that side. Because the thing is, look, Kudus with the ball at his feet and running with the ball. How many people in that West Ham team can actually do that, progressing the ball? And I think that ever since he lost Declan Rice, he hasn't gotten someone who can actually move the ball into the areas where he wants that to happen. And then I think that's the reason why he gets Kudus. And Oriko also mentioned an interesting point on the kind of team that West Ham is building now. And I think that they are bringing in really good players. I think when you look at West Ham and AC Milan, they are the 2 teams that have actually spent really well in this transfer market. I mean, West Ham sold Declan Rice for 105 million, and they've spent it really wisely.
Really well.
Because Alvarez, Kudus, Prowse, the kind of players they've brought in, they've been really good buys. And I think that if it's going to count for anything, it should count in the Europa League. And I think that this season they really want to do well in Europe like they did last season. And I think it should work.
I think the biggest criticism or the biggest issue for them was balancing Europe and the domestic side of things last season. That's why they had to sacrifice one. They opted for Europe, and then in the end, their league form was affected and they almost got dragged into a relegation battle. But even with that, they finished fourth. When they got serious with it, they wrapped it up quickly and then threw their attentions back to Europe. This time around, I think they're building a good squad. They had a good starting 11 last time around, but this time I think they have options off the bench. And it's a good environment for Kudus to go into. I have a feeling one of the key parts to convince him would be where you want to play him, because I know deep down he still wants to play midfield in that number 8, number 10 role.
Yep.
Brighton were not willing to offer him that, or couldn't give him assurances with that. De Zerbi wanted to use him in much more further roles up front, and so hopefully we're assuming that West Ham buying him means that now he'll get to play in his much more preferred position this time around.
Yeah, and Terry, last thing.
Yeah.
The thing about it also is that football, the kind of football Moyes wants to play is just to be efficient, not to get too many chances, but to get the balls behind the nets. Yesterday, it is what happened in that game against Brighton where they beat them 3-1. They didn't get too many chances.
I thought it was a surprising result.
Funny thing is that after the first goal, I don't know if you've seen that statistic, but after the first goal, Brighton had played 220 passes.
Hey!
And West Ham had played 13.
220 passes.
Yeah, and West Ham had played.
Did they have Xavier and Iniesta?
And West Ham had played 13. but they had one goal in the net.
Wow.
And that's what Moyes wants. He just wants to be efficient in front of goal.
I mean, go back to just last week.
It helps.
Chelsea dominated West Ham start to finish.
Exactly.
And for some reason, he gets the
result.
results.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, we just hope that Mohamed Kudus will also be on the better side of results when it comes to West Ham United going forward. Because for now, I can tell you for a fact, every Ghana football fan will have their eyes on West Ham United. Let's go quickly to some others. And I want us to quickly touch on results, very interesting results, before we move on. And so let's start with Chelsea. Chelsea started the Premier League weekend with a 3-0 win over Luton. And it was a clean sheet. Raheem Sterling seems to be back because of that West Ham performance. And then this one, scoring 2, assisting the other. Jackson on the score sheet. It seems like a perfect day for Posh.
It was a perfect day for Pochettino, but this is a really, really new look Chelsea side. I didn't think that there were so many Chelsea players that I didn't know until I was watching that Luton game. I mean, they changed, and then a boy called Maatsen came on. I don't know when they signed this Maatsen guy, but I think that they've been they were impressive in that game against Luton. This is the period where someone like Raheem Sterling needs to step up, and I think that he really stepped up in that game against Luton, and he did really well for Chelsea Football Club to set up the goal for Jackson to score his and all of that. It was really an impressive performance. Chelsea Luton, you expect that Chelsea would win, especially at home at Stamford Bridge, and it is what they did, and I think that going home with 3 points, 3 goals, and also with Pochettino doing what he had to do to make sure that Chelsea win. I think that is an impressive performance there for Chelsea.
And let's also Oreku, your thoughts on Chelsea before we move on to others.
Well, I think it's finally a team getting rewarded for the good work that they've done. In the first 2 games I felt against Liverpool, West Ham, on paper Chelsea did enough to win the game. However, they struggled to convert some of those chances. And although in the beginning part of the game against Luton, it looked like ghost of their past would come back to haunt them. They managed to find a way this time. And I think what's important that at least they got their first goal in the first 20 minutes that through Raheem Sterling. And eventually getting 3 goals to win the game. I think Chelsea were absolutely dominant on the night. Although they had some small lapses in concentration at the back. Good enough result. And for me, we needed that player, a player who would show some maturity and experience, especially with the number of new players coming in, a new coach in the environment. We needed someone who has been at the club for a while. That's Raheem Sterling, has the experience from last season. And, to say that I'm going to be the guy responsible. And you could see that from his first goal, where he took things into his own hands and slotted the ball past the goalkeeper after beating 3 players. And so for Raheem Sterling, it's been a fantastic start to the season, very impressive for him. Hopefully he can keep it going. He mentioned at the start of the season that he wanted to be Chelsea's top scorer this season, and he looks very much in sync with that, has looked very sharp in front of goal. Enzo, very similar in that vein as well, has looked very confident and looks like a new player compared to last season, and it's just good signs for Mauricio Pochettino. But at the end of the day, no matter how much you would want to blow your trumpet, it's just Luton Town who just got promoted back into the Premier League, and the team would need to show it against much tougher opposition. But at the end of the day, you also have to give them credit, especially given the type of results that we saw over the weekend with the likes of Fulham, holding Arsenal to a 2-2 draw, even Nottingham Forest stressing out Manchester United. It speaks of the quality of the league, that you shouldn't take any win for granted. But good starts for Chelsea, and I just hope that they're able to maintain this, especially after a defeat against West Ham, a very demoralizing defeat. To win again and to get the team fighting again is really good stuff from Mauricio Pochettino. And I mean, the bar was really low last season, but I still think they would do much better than they did last time out. And with Newcastle playing in the Champions League, having to balance that out, and I just think that there is a bit of a gap in the top four, and I see Spurs and Chelsea trying to push and find their way in there.
Okay, we'll continue with the English Premier League conversation. Of course, we'll branch into La Liga before we do Predictor and get out of here. But for now, let's take a message from our sponsor, Mega 6 Lottery.
What does winning mean to you? For Yao, it's seeing the joy in his mother's eyes after he provided her with a state-of-the-art kitchen to cook her signature Unapo Jollof.
It's a mega win.
For Ajua, it's turning her passion for photography into a successful career while providing her children with the best education possible.
It's a mega win.
For Kwame, it's becoming his own boss and starting his music business.
It's a mega win.
Whatever winning means to you, Mega 6 Lotto can help you achieve it in grand style. With only 49 numbers to choose from, the odds are always in your favor. Play with as little as 2 Ghana cedis for a chance to win millions of cedis every week. Download our Android and iOS apps. Dial *266# or visit mega6lotto.com to make a mega impact on your life and the lives of others. Mega 6 Lotto. Mega winnings, mega impact. The Mega 6 Lotto is regulated and monitored by the NLA.
You are still listening to Sports Ultras. Here we go to Man United, because it was against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a good start.
It wasn't a good start at all. I mean, I think one problem I have with Erik ten Hag is the organization of the team, because there's no way that United have a corner and then they miss out on getting themselves a chance or whatever, and then the ball falls to Awoniyi, and it is Rashford who has to chase Awoniyi down the channel towards goal. So I feel like the organization was just wrong. But I think that is one of those cases where United didn't start properly and Nottingham Forest took advantage. And I think the goals from Forest came just too early for them.
Yeah.
And so United had enough time to recover and get through whatever they wanted to do. But I think that it was still a very shaky game for United. Even at 3-2, you had a sense that Forest could come back, and this was a Forest team that were a man down, and they were still playing with a lot of grit. So maybe Erik ten Hag needs to look at one or two things, change a few things with his side, and get back on track, because it's going to be a really long season. United are back in the Champions League. That will take its toll. And then there will be other matches that United have to play as well, and as well as the Premier League. And so he needs to know that he fixes it now, or it just keeps on getting worse. And so hopefully he's able to do that.
Yeah. Oreku, I won't let you talk about Man United because of time. We'll go to Liverpool and Arsenal. Who do you think, or who seem in worse trouble?
Difficult one, because
between Liverpool and Arsenal.
Yeah, because I mean, Liverpool, although they've drawn a game away.
No, they won actually.
No, I'm talking about I was looking at the overall record.
Okay.
They have similar points, and I'm looking at the quality of opposition. And although they drew with Chelsea away, so on paper it's not so bad results.
Yeah.
Although you have expected them to win. For Arsenal, at home against Fulham, it's one thing that you would want, a game that you expect them to win, especially when you're looking at where they reached last season and where they want to get to. If they want to win the league, Man City on their worst will hit 85 points at least.
Okay.
And so you can't afford to be dropping points like this, especially at home.
Thing here though is Liverpool have now had 2 red cards, even though the first was rescinded. It still could have cost them in that game. This one against Newcastle United, another red card, is indiscipline becoming a problem for Jurgen Klopp.
It never used to be. I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised. Could it be as like a mirror of the type of aggression that Klopp is showing on the touchline? Because today he was very furious with a lot of decisions, from the Trent yellow card, and sometimes I think it drives onto the players, and they feel hard done by, and it just gets them too emotional. But twice they've been sent off. Twice they found a way of either maintaining their winning position or coming back. I think today was very impressive, and for me, what the result today informs me is that what Dominic Szoboszlai said over the week wasn't a joke, because he actually said, "I'm not joking. We're going to finish ahead of Man City." Everyone thought it's a joke.
It was a message to his friend Haaland.
Yeah, but I think that they're starting to get something back, and that's the character that they had those times that they used to go head to head with Manchester City. If you look at the nature of victories between the two of them today, it was very reminiscent of what we used to see 3-4 years ago with their rivalry. And perhaps we could be getting a hint to it coming back, because both teams looked down and out. Man City, when they considered that equalizer, it looked like they had thrown it away. They found a way through Rodri. And then for Liverpool, they had to dig deep, and twice Darwin Núñez saved them. Arsenal, for me, I think they've not looked convincing. It's been really bad throughout their first game. Nottingham away at Crystal Palace, although they got a red card in that one too. And then against Fulham this week, they had on paper one of the best starts to the season. And I believe that if they were able to put their foot down and stamp their authority, and by now they would be on top with a very hefty goal margin, then they get back into the heads of the people. They sort of blew out the momentum from the FA Community Shield. They didn't use that too well, because now they look like a team out of ideas. And it's very surprising to see Arteta moving a lot of his key players around. It's difficult to comprehend why. There's been so many school of thoughts, but it's strange to me because you're playing a league where you can't afford to drop too many points. And in the end, it could come back to haunt them, because they've still not really had any difficult game on paper, and they've already dropped some points. So for me, I think as things stand, Liverpool look like they could be that second force to Manchester City, but it's still early days yet.
Before we move on, let's take a listen to a message from Mega 6 Lottery.
What does winning mean to you? For Yao, it's seeing the joy in his mother's eyes after he provided her with a state-of-the-art kitchen to cook her signature Unapo Jollof.
It's a mega win.
For Ajua, it's turning her passion for photography into a successful career while providing her children with the best education possible.
It's a mega win.
For Kwame, it's becoming his own boss and starting his music business.
It's a mega win.
Whatever winning means to you, Mega 6 Lotto can help you achieve it in grand style. With only 49 numbers to choose from, the odds are always in your favor. Play with as little as 2 Ghana cedis for a chance to win millions of cedis every week. Download our Android and iOS apps. Dial *266# or visit mega6lotto.com to make a mega impact on your life and the lives of others. Mega 6 Lotto. Mega winnings, mega impact. The Mega 6 Lotto is regulated and monitored by the NLA.
Okay, so we move on, and quickly let's do predictor before we do. I'm sure after predictor we'll be done. I wanted us to talk about Hurricane and talk about La Liga, because Real Madrid, Bellingham, Barcelona today did some magic work there over Villarreal. 4-3 result for Barcelona. It seems really interesting in La Liga. PSG also with Mbappe getting in on the goals and scoring as well and winning, but it's very important for them. But let's do the predictor before we get out of here. So Orioku says that, okay, so these are games for this coming week. We say we're looking at Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Celta Vigo versus Real Madrid, Dreams FC versus Milo. Remo versus Mediama, and then Newcastle United also against Liverpool. Well, Oreku, can we go back to Oreku, please? Go back to Oreku.
Now you understand why I was frustrated with Mediama.
So Mediama lost on Oreku's sheet, but they didn't lose in real time. But Dreams, he got that correct, but a bad scoreline there. Says that Real Madrid were going to win, they did, but the scoreline was also wrong. Arsenal were going to beat Crystal Palace, which didn't happen. Actually, that did.
Yeah.
That's Crystal Palace. That
1-0,
did.
yeah.
And then there was Newcastle United, and then
game should have ended at 1-1.
Liverpool 1-1. So these are the predictions from Oreku last week. And so how many did Oreku get correct? 2?
3.
3.
Out of 2, yeah. 3 out of, I think 3 and 2 wrong, yeah.
Okay. So Yao says that Arsenal were going to win, which they didn't. They did, sorry. 1 goal margin, they're correct. Real won as well. But the scoreline prediction was wrong. Dreams FC, he says, wow, that's a correct scoreline. Dreams 2, Milo 1. And then said that Mediama were winning against Remo Stars 3-1. It didn't happen in regular time, but it did happen after penalty shootout. We don't know if to give that. Rico, should we give that to Yao? Because he says regular time 3-1.
A win is a win.
A win is a win. Okay. Says that Newcastle will beat Liverpool only for Eddie Howe to misbehave.
He messed up. He messed up.
Against 10 men.
He messed up.
Anyway, so you're getting 3,
4 out of 5.
4 there. Bale says Arsenal were winning, which they did. Real winning, which they did. Dreams. Oh, he also got correct scoreline there.
Nice.
2-1 there. So Bale has 3 out of 3. Mediama 1, Remo 1. Wow. Octopus. And then Newcastle 1.
So who qualified?
Who qualifies? Saying he didn't ask who. He didn't.
No.
But the
But
prediction
qualifies.
No, but Remo Stars won 1-0.
Yeah.
So aggregate was 1-1, not this match in particular.
Yeah.
That's
So
true,
he
that's
failed
true.
there. So he failed there, and you were taking the fans, Bill. You're taking the fans. So Bill got 3 out of 5. Aniela says Arsenal 2, Crystal Palace 1. Real Madrid were going to lose. Hey! Well, she got that wrong. Dreams beating Milo 1-0. Mediama winning Remo 2-1, which didn't happen. And then Newcastle 1, Liverpool 1. So Aniela getting 2 correct in this prediction. Where's Kelvin? Is Kelvin in way? Yeah. So Kelvin says Arsenal will win, they did. Real will win, they did. Dreams will win, they did.
Correct score.
Mediama will win, they didn't. And then 2-2 between Liverpool and Newcastle, which was also wrong. And so in effect, it was 3 out of 5. I'm sure if he were here, he would have said, it was very, very close. He would have said it was very, very close. But anyway, we move on. We're going straight to the coming week. Oreku's predictions are this. AC Milan will beat AS Roma by 2-1. Man City will beat Fulham by 3-0. Real Madrid will beat Getafe by 2-0. Arsenal will beat Man United by 2-1. And then Liverpool will draw 2-2 with Aston Villa. So these are the predictions there. Yao says that AC Milan will draw 2-2 with AS Roma. Man City will beat Fulham 2-1. Real Madrid will beat Getafe by 3-1. Arsenal 2, Manchester United 2, Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 3. We wait to see. Next is Bale. Bale says AS Roma would draw 2-2 with AC Milan. Manchester City would beat Fulham by 3-1. Real would beat Getafe by 3-0. Arsenal would beat Man United by 3-1. And then Liverpool 2-2 with Aston Villa. Aniela says that AC Milan would beat AS Roma by 2-1. City, Fulham 2-1. Real, Getafe 2-1. Arsenal would beat United by 1-0. Liverpool beating Aston Villa by 1-0 clean sheet. I don't think that's possible. And then I come there. So I say that Liverpool will draw 2-2 with Aston Villa. Man United will lose 3-2 to Arsenal. Real Madrid will beat Getafe by 3-1. I think they'll concede. Manchester City would beat Fulham by 3-0. And then AS Roma. That's not my prediction, please. AC Milan, I said, would beat Roma by 2-1. You turn it around. AC Milan would beat.
So this
AS
one,
Roma
if it
by
happens,
2-1.
you take it like that.
So there was AS Roma. For Kelvin, it's no. Go back to Kelvin. So Kelvin says that AC Milan would beat AS Roma by 2-1. Man City would beat Fulham by 3-1. Real Madrid would beat Getafe by 3-1. Arsenal would beat United by 2-1, and then Liverpool also beating Aston Villa by 2-1. So these are the results, the predictions from Kelvin as well. Wait to see. Prediction or the predictor would come in full flow from next week, where the gang will be here and we'll discuss what we did the previous week and what we are expecting, or what we have come to expect by next Sunday. But for now, that'll be all for Sports Ultras. My name is Theo, and I've been here with Aniela Lote